Chapter 21:17. A single person had actually mastered 2 supreme laws? Everyone was dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Some even suspected that someone had disguised himself as Lu Ming. However, a great emperor spoke up to prove that this was Lu Ming's true appearance and that he had not disguised himself. Whoosh! The scene was in an uproar. One person could actually control 2 supreme laws at the same time, and they were below the martial emperor realm. Then, in addition to the array Dao law from before, wouldn't Lu Ming control 3 supreme laws? It was a complete uproar. This was unprecedented. Heavens, it's heaven-defying. Lu Ming is going to defy the heavens. One person controlling 2 supreme laws at the same time. How is it possible? Even a martial emperor can't do it. The supreme laws are incompatible. This has been the truth since ancient times, and now the truth has been broken. Many people shouted, even many of the older generation were the same, mainly because the impact was too great. It was as if the truth that they had always believed in had collapsed in an instant, and they could not calm down. Even the thearchs could not calm down, looking at Lu Ming as if he was looking at a monster. How is this possible? How is this possible? Those who had a grudge with Lu Ming, such as the Hung family, were all in disbelief. Boom! At this moment, Yuan Xian, Destiny's Child, and the other strongest geniuses could not stay calm, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies. Invincible, Big Brother Lu Ming is invincible. Bubbles screamed even louder. Master is invincible. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouying Moli also cheered. Lu Ming touched his nose. He knew that once he revealed his true identity, it would definitely cause an uproar and shock the world. However, he still did not hide it. Because if he faced Yuan Xian, Destiny's Child, and the others later, he would definitely not be able to hide it and would have to use his full strength. Sooner or later, he would be exposed. In addition, now that the energy in the heavenly thearch's body had been stored up to 36%, he had confidence and fewer worries. If the Mu clan wanted to make a move on him, Xiangxiang, Qiuyu, and the others after the 10 Earths battle ended, he could just take them and run. In any case, the heavenly monarch's physical body was shockingly strong. Not to mention, there was still Emperor Wu Xiang, Uncle Kong, and the others. At this moment, Uncle Kong, Emperor Wu Xiang, and the others were unable to calm down as they stroked their beards with all their might. They had lived for countless years, but this was the first time they had seen something like this. Let me go. At this moment, Mu Yang was nearly scared to death as he screamed crazily. One person could actually control 2 supreme laws. No wonder his combat prowess was so terrifying. He was about to be scared to death. Mu Yang, it was you who ordered the Death God Nation to assassinate me, right? Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, spare my life. Mu Yang screamed in terror. Many people's hearts stirred. It seemed that this was really Mu Yang's doing. He had asked the people from the Nation of Death to assassinate Lu Ming. They did not know what method Lu Ming had used to avoid death. Moreover, the people from the Nation of Death had mistakenly thought that they had killed Lu Ming. Despicable, you can't defeat my master, but you secretly ordered assassins to kill him. Damn it. Master, kill him. Xiangxiang and Ouying Moli were filled with righteous indignation. They couldn't wait to kill Mu Yang personally. Mu Yang, rest in peace, Lu Ming said. Then, under Mu Yang's terrified gaze, he clenched his fist and a terrifying force directly crushed Mu Yang's soul, causing his soul to scatter. Damn it! The Mu family's great emperor roared as his eyes were extremely sinister. An Elysian child was killed just like that. Their hearts were bleeding. A king body was said to have the potential to become a great emperor, and an Elysian child was undoubtedly stronger. The chances of them breaking through to the great emperor realm were very high, and they could even take a step closer and touch the supreme heavenly emperor realm. Such a genius would be treated as a treasure by any force. But now, he was killed by Lu Ming in front of everyone, and his soul scattered. After killing Mu Yang, the stone platform that represented Mu Yang turned into a puff of green smoke and dissipated. Lu Ming returned to the stone platform and floated back. Pairs of eyes fell on Lu Ming. Some were filled with solemnity, while others were filled with intense battle intent. Previously, no one took Lu Ming seriously. No matter how strong a quasi-emperor was, he wouldn't be a threat to them. But now, it was different. Lu Ming had killed Mu Yang, and for the first time, he had mastered two supreme laws. Most importantly, Lu Ming didn't use the law of primal chaos when he killed Mu Yang. If he used the law of primal chaos and the law of death, how powerful would it be? Everyone reevaluated Lu Ming's battle strength. Of course, there were also people who didn't think highly of Lu Ming. They thought that mastering two supreme laws at the same time was already unprecedented. It was impossible to fuse two supreme laws and increase the power of the two supreme laws. Many people agreed with this point of view. While everyone was unable to calm down, the competition continued. After Lu Ming and Mu Yang's battle, there were only 20 or so people left. It could be said that those who remained were all experts among experts. Every battle attracted everyone's attention. Destiny's Child, Yuan Xian, Wu Yang, and the others still defeated their opponents. Deathblade had finally reached the end. He encountered a true dragon that seemed to cultivate the immemorial demonic Tao. It was incomparably powerful. Although Deathblade did his best, he was still not a match for it. After a few dozen moves, he was defeated. Eternal Star River also encountered a powerful opponent. However, he was indeed very strong. After exchanging over 100 moves with his opponent, he narrowly won. Bubble also defeated his opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn again, his opponent was not strong. He was slightly weaker than Mu Yang and was defeated by Lu Ming. Slowly, there were only 13 people left. 13 stone platforms floated in the air, sizing each other up. These 13 people could be said to be very strong. Among them, Destiny's Child, Yuan Xian, Wu Yang, the true dragon that cultivated the immemorial demonic Tao, the immemorial physique cultivator, and the space-time child were the ones who received the most attention. Because these people had stepped into the martial emperor realm 2 years ago. 2 years later, they were undoubtedly stronger. Their strength was unfathomable. However, these people had yet to encounter each other. Could it be related to the stone platforms? Lu Ming pondered. Perhaps the stone platforms could also roughly distinguish the strong and weak. Therefore, some of the strongest people would automatically avoid them. This was very likely. If some of the strongest people encountered them first, it would be unfair. The stone platforms rotated. Then, 2 stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. One of them was Destiny's Child. The person who collided with Destiny's Child had an ugly expression. He actually encountered Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child's name was Tianming. Using Destiny City as his name, one could see that his heart was higher than the heavens. Moreover, he was worthy of this name. Tianming was dressed in white. His long hair reached his waist. He was unbelievably handsome, like the legendary god's child. Chapter 21:18. Destiny's Child, Tianming, was thought to be the most likely candidate to win the competition. Before the competition, Yuan Xian was the only one who was thought to be able to compete with Tianming. Of course, there were many dark horses now, such as Wu Yang, the true dragon, and the primordial physique cultivator. However, most people still thought that Tianming would have no problem winning the competition. Destiny's Child controlled fate, and there were only a few in history. Almost every one of them stood at the peak and became a peak expert. Do you want to admit defeat? Tianming asked his opponent calmly with a smile on his face. Among the top 10 laws, the law of destiny is faintly superior to the other laws. I want to experience it, the young man said. He was also a very powerful child of heaven. 2 years ago, he was about to become a great emperor. After 2 years of cultivation, his cultivation had reached the peak of 1-star void emperor. How could he surrender without a fight? Tianming shook his head and said, "From the moment you said that, your fate was already sealed. You will lose." What bullshit fate is this? My fate is up to me, not the heavens. No one can control my fate. The young man shouted and charged at Tianming. You are destined to be struck by lightning, Tianming said with a smile. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, endless lightning appeared out of nowhere and struck at his opponent. Every bolt of lightning was multicolored. There were 5 different colors, and they were as thick as an arm. Their power was shocking. The densely packed lightning directly drowned the young man. The young man let out a long howl and unleashed a crazy burst of power, using a divine ability to resist the lightning. Your fate is to be burned by fire, Tianming said again. Then, endless flames appeared. They were incomparably terrifying flames that drowned the young man. Your fate is to be cut by a blade. Your fate is to be hammered, Tianming said continuously. Every word he said was coming true. All kinds of attacks were launched at his opponent endlessly. Finally, the young man couldn't resist anymore. He vomited blood and was sent flying out of the stage. Tianming, on the other hand, had a smile on his face from beginning to end. He stood on the stone stage in his white robe, not moving a single step. He was extraordinary. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, shocked beyond words. The law of fate was too terrifying. Could it really decide one's fate? If he said that the other party was going to be struck by lightning, then he was going to be struck by lightning. If he was going to be slashed by a saber, then he was going to be slashed by a saber. It was as if he was controlling the fate of others. Even Lu Ming had a serious look in his eyes. Heaven's Will stone platform flew back. There were still 12 people left. After another 20% of the competition, the top 10 would be determined. Soon, 2 more stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. Everyone was shocked again. This time, the one who stepped out was Yuan Xian. His opponent's face also darkened. In the eyes of others, Yuan Xian was someone who could compete with Tianming. Encountering him was just bad luck. Boom. Yuan Xian directly attacked, domineering and overbearing. His primal chaos divine fist was unparalleled in terms of offensive power. The moment he attacked, he would crush his opponent crazily. His opponent might be powerful, but he was still at a disadvantage. He was no match for him at all. Yuan Xian's cultivation is definitely not a 1-star empty emperor. I'm afraid he's already a 2-star empty emperor. Someone guessed. Many people nodded. This was normal. Yuan Xian had already become an empty emperor 2 years ago. In the past 2 years, he had encountered many opportunities. How could he not have improved? Not long after, Yuan Xian's opponent was defeated. He coughed up blood and left the battle platform. After Yuan Xian retreated, there were still 11 people left. Then, 2 more stone platforms collided with each other. It's him, an archaic body cultivator. Lu Ming's eyes moved, revealing a look of interest. One of them was the archaic body cultivator named Bao De. This person was almost 3 meters tall. He was bald and his body was pitch black like a piece of black coal or a piece of black steel. He seemed to be filled with endless power. Archaic body cultivators specialized in cultivating their physical bodies. Their physique was unparalleled and their power was endless. Lu Ming was very interested. His flesh had been tempered by the law 5 times in a row and contained 3 streaks of chaotic qi. It was already very powerful. But compared to Bao De, there was still a big gap. Bao De's opponent's face was also very ugly. This was because Bao De was also considered one of the strongest few people. Why were the opponents of the last 3 people facing the strongest ones? Haha, little one, make your move. Bao De grinned and walked towards the other party like a giant. Boom. Bao De made his move. It was simple and direct. He directly threw out a punch. This punch directly pierced through space. His pitch-black fist was like an immemorial divine mountain as it pressed down on the other party. His opponent was not weak either. He could be said to be very strong. He erupted with all his strength to resist Bao De. Unfortunately, he was still unable to match Bao De. Bao De's fist landed and directly pierced through the strongest law. His opponent's face changed drastically. He quickly retreated and was almost sent flying out of the stone platform by Bao De. Little one, you can't do it. Ha ha ha. Bao De laughed. His 3-meter-tall body directly charged towards his opponent at an astonishing speed. Boom. His opponent used all his strength and blasted out a divine ability. But when it landed on Bao De's body, it was useless. It did not break Bao De's defense. Bao De's body was like a divine weapon. He broke through his opponent's attack and then ruthlessly slammed into his opponent's body. His opponent groaned. Crackling sounds came from his body. Then, He vomited a large mouthful of blood. His body was directly sent flying out of the battle platform. Many people gasped. This Bauda was really terrifying. His strength was endless. He defeated his opponent in just a few moves. What a terrifying power. It's pure physical strength. In the crowd, Huang Li and Long Chen's faces were very solemn. They cultivated the law of force and were known as the ultimate strength. But compared to Bao De, they were far behind. After Bao De defeated his opponent, there were only 10 people left on the scene. The top 10 were born. They were Tianming, Yuan Xian, Wu Liang, Bao De, the true Dragon Aoku, the Spacetime Sun, Yun Haoge, Bubbles, Heng Xinghe, Ancient Devil, and Lu Ming. Everyone's eyes fell on the 10 people. In the entire land of Yuan Mountain, there were countless geniuses. The 10 strongest geniuses were the focus of everyone's attention. All right, now that the top 10 have been born, I'll give you 3 days to recuperate. 3 days later, the final battle will begin. The white-haired old man stepped forward and announced, "Master is too powerful." And Bubbles, Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others cheered excitedly. However, most of them did not look good because the geniuses that they thought highly of had failed and did not enter the top 10. "Senior, I'm not convinced." At this moment, a voice sounded, causing everyone to quiet down. A young man stepped forward and cupped his fists at the white-haired old man. "I'm not convinced either." "Me too." Chapter 21:19. Everyone recognized that 3 of them were the last 3 youths who had been defeated by Tianming, Yuan Xian, and Bao De. The other 2 youths were also the ones who had encountered Tianming and Yuan Xian. There were 5 of them in total. "What's wrong with you?" the white-haired old man asked. "Some of them aren't strong enough to enter the top 10. That's right, they were just lucky and didn't encounter any strong opponents. That's why they aren't convinced." The youths spoke one after another. Everyone understood. These youths felt that they were too unlucky to have encountered Tianming, Yuan Xian, and the others. They were defeated because Tianming and the others were too strong. Many of them had not encountered Tianming and the others in the top 10. Therefore, these youths felt that they had only lost because of luck and not because of strength. Many of them had the same thought, especially when their gazes swept over Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe. "I see." The white-haired old man nodded and said, "The stone platform under your feet has a special effect, so some people won't encounter you in advance. However, you won't be convinced if you don't fight. How about this? I'll give you a chance. You can challenge any one of the 10 youths. If you can win, you can replace them." Hearing this, the youth's eyes lit up. At the same time, their gazes fell on Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe with strong battle intent. They were unconvinced because of Lu Ming's group. They felt that they were stronger than Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe. Lu Ming might have mastered 2 supreme laws, but his cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor realm. Although he had defeated Mu Yang, which one of them wasn't stronger than Mu Yang? There was also Bubbles, a 3 to 4-year-old child who was only a 1-star illusionary emperor. They had nothing to fear. It was the same for Heng Xinghe, who was only a 1-star illusionary emperor. As for the Ancient Devil, although he was also a 1-star illusionary emperor, he cultivated the immemorial demon Dao and his battle strength was extremely strong. They had no confidence in defeating him. As for Tianming, Yuan Xian, Wu Liang, Bao De, Xieku, and Yun Haoge, they did not consider them. These 6 people had already become emperors 2 years ago, and their strength was unfathomable. "I'll challenge first." A red-haired youth stepped forward. "What right do you have to challenge first?" "I'll go first." "I'll go first." There were 5 young men in total, all of whom wanted to challenge Qin and first. He would definitely have an advantage if he chose to challenge the weakest one first. Finally, the white-haired elder had them draw lots to decide who would go first. In the end, a tall and thin youth was the first to fight. This person had been defeated by Bao De. Now, he was the first to challenge someone. His gaze swept over Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Stellar River, and finally landed on Stellar River. "You also cultivate eternal laws? Come out and fight me." The lanky youth spoke, because he also cultivated in the eternal laws. I was just about to fight you. Xinghe's eyes shone brightly as he stepped out, emitting a powerful aura from his body. Both of them cultivated in the eternal laws. The two of them weren't the only geniuses who cultivated the eternal laws. However, there was no doubt that the two of them were the strongest. Bang! Bang! Suddenly, the two of them moved and engaged in a fierce battle. The eternal laws collided continuously, and the battle was incomparably intense. In the beginning, the two of them were evenly matched. After exchanging more than 100 moves, it was difficult to determine the winner. However, after more than 100 moves, Xinghe began to gain the upper hand and suppressed his opponent. Roar! Xinghe roared with a wild aura. His long hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. Back then, he had been defeated by Lu Ming. After that, he had been in seclusion and focused on cultivation. In the end, he had transformed and become stronger than before. Good, huh? Great Emperor Hung laughed heartily. After a few more moves, Xinghe sent his opponent flying off the stone platform and won. The first challenge ended in failure, causing the remaining challengers to look a little solemn. Originally, Xinghe was the weakest in their eyes, but he still failed the challenge. Now, it's my turn. The young man with fiery red hair who had been defeated by Tianming stepped out. Finally, his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, come out and fight me. The young man with fiery red hair stared at Lu Ming. Do you think I'm a pushover? Lu Ming pursed his lips. With a thought, the stone platform under his feet flew forward. The young man with fiery red hair landed on the stone platform. The stone platform was equivalent to a battle stage. Lu Ming, you haven't become an emperor. Although you have mastered 2 supreme laws, I can still defeat you. The young man with fiery red hair clamored, trying to provoke Lu Ming. You're so impatient. Before the young man with fiery red hair could finish his words, Lu Ming rushed towards him and used the law of chaos and the law of array. The 2 laws merged and used the chaotic divine palm to strike the young man with fiery red hair. The young man with fiery red hair erupted and used all his strength to fight against Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fusion of the law of chaos and the law of array was stronger than the fusion of the law of death and the law of array. After all, the chaotic divine palm was a divine ability of the law of chaos. Lu Ming's attacks were like a storm, constantly attacking the young man with fiery red hair. In an instant, he blasted out hundreds of palms. Bam! Bam! After hundreds of collisions, the young man with fiery red hair's arm went numb and was almost broken. His body kept shaking, and he kept retreating. Since the beginning of the fight, he had been suppressed by Lu Ming and was completely at a disadvantage. He could not resist and was forced to retreat from the stone platform. You still dare to challenge me? You're just us. Lu Ming pursed his lips and flew back to the stone platform. Lu Ming didn't use the fusion of the law of chaos and the law of death. Could it be that he really didn't fuse these 2 laws? It's naturally not that easy to fuse 2 supreme laws. Even so, his strength is still very strong, slightly stronger than the stellar river. Some people discussed. The faces of the remaining challengers turned even uglier. The few who they thought were the weakest had such strength. Could it be that they would not succeed in their challenge? Then, a young man challenged Bubble. Bubble still did not transform into his true body. Relying on the mysterious space-time law, he played with the opponent for 100 or 200 moves. In the end, he inexplicably sent his opponent off the stone platform and won. The remaining 2 challengers looked at each other. In the end, they sighed and shook their heads, giving up on the challenge. Even Lu Ming, Bubble, and Hung Xinghe were so strong. They had no confidence in challenging the remaining challengers. They would only be beaten up, so they might as well not challenge. At this point, the top 10 were officially born. After a round of challenges, no one doubted the combat strength of Lu Ming and the others. They were the top 10 strongest people among the younger generation in Yuanlu. The 10 of them sized each other up, creating dazzling sparks when they collided. Chapter 21:20. Especially Hung Xinghe, most of his attention was on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll defeat you this time, Hung Xinghe said with an intimidating look in his eyes. I'll be waiting for you. Lu Ming's reply was simple. To be honest, he didn't take Hung Xinghe seriously anymore. Lu Ming's current opponents were Tian Ming and Yuan Xian. Yun Haoge, on the other hand, looked at Bubbles with greed in his eyes. Little guy, you must be a divine beast, right? You can control the laws of space and time. How about this? Be my pet and fight with me. Yun Haoge said. He was indeed eager. It would be of great help to him if he had a pet that could control the laws of space and time with him. You're more like my human pet. Bubble curled its lips in disdain. I will make you accept it wholeheartedly. Yun Haoge said coldly. Brother Lu Ming, is that guy an idiot? He wants me to be his pet. Bubbles' figure flashed, and it appeared on Lu Ming's body. Its small body hung on Lu Ming's body like an octopus. He is indeed an idiot. Lu Ming smiled and patted Bubbles' head. Everyone was stunned. It turned out that Lu Ming and Bubble were so close. Was Bubble Lu Ming's pet? Was it Lu Ming's pet? That would be terrifying. The two of them had entered the top 10. Yun Haoge became gloomy and glanced at Lu Ming coldly. On the other side, Bao De, Chiel, and the ancient devil were also staring at each other and unleashing their combat strength. All three of them practiced the archaic system and were geniuses. They naturally wanted to see who was better. Among the top 10, only Tian Ming stood there calmly with a smile, as if he had nothing to do with it. Everyone was looking forward to the battle. The battle hadn't even started yet, but the atmosphere was already tense. The final battle between the top 10 would definitely be exciting and epic. In the history of the primordial realm, there had never been so many geniuses born, nor had there ever been a battle of the 10 Earths. This great battle was unprecedented. Many of the Elysian children were reduced to foils. If this was said a few decades ago, they would have laughed to death. In the past, an Elysian child was a legend, a character capable of suppressing an era. However, in this era, he was reduced to a supporting role, which made countless people excited. This battle was destined to be recorded in the annals of history, to be passed down through the ages. Rest up. We'll fight in 3 days. The white-haired old man announced once more. Everyone found a place to rest. Lu Ming walked towards Autumn Moon and the others. Young master, I knew you would be fine. Autumn Moon was overjoyed. She threw herself into Lu Ming's arms, ignoring the strange looks from others. Lu Ming. Huang Ling walked over. Her gaze was a bit complicated, but it disappeared in a flash, hidden by her. Then, the others also came over to greet Lu Ming. Master. Xiang Xiang and Ouying Moli bowed to Lu Ming. At the side, many people did not know that Xiang Xiang and Ouying Moli were Lu Ming's disciples. When they saw this, they were dumbfounded. Lu Ming was young and extraordinary. Now, he actually had 2 disciples of the Elysian children. It was really shocking. Even the great emperors were envious. You too, cultivate well and strive to become great emperors as soon as possible. Lu Ming looked at Xiang Xiang and Ouying Moli. At the same time, he thought of himself. It seemed that it would be very difficult for him to become a great emperor. From the looks of it, he would probably be surpassed by his 2 disciples. This made his old face blush slightly. Then, Lu Ming bowed to Emperor Wu Xiang, Uncle Kong, and the others. Lu Ming, this time, do your best. After the Battle of the 10 Lands, there will be great opportunities waiting for you. Emperor Wu Xiang smiled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. There were great opportunities waiting for them. However, thinking about it, it made sense. Previously, it was just a selection, but they could enter the world left behind by the primordial world. Now that it was the final battle, how could there be no opportunities? I will do my best. Lu Ming nodded. Then, Lu Ming chose a place and sat cross-legged in the air. He circulated his qi and adjusted his condition to the best. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The final peak battle was about to begin. The white-haired old man stood at the top of Destiny Mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge battle platform appeared on top of Destiny Mountain. It was 100 miles wide and was purple-gold in color. It was filled with a noble aura. Obviously, the final battle would take place on this battle platform. The final battle of the top 10 will be fought in turns. Each person will have to fight with the other 9 and be ranked according to their winning percentage. The white-haired old man said. Lu Ming nodded. As he expected, they would use this hairstyle. This was the fairest way to determine the ranking. It was completely based on one's strength, and there was no luck involved. This was the most commonly used method. Throughout Lu Ming's journey, he had encountered this method more than once or twice. Also, in the battle between you all, no one is allowed to kill. The white-haired old man added. Many people nodded. Each of the last 10 people was extremely talented. If they died because of this, it would be a great loss. That was why there was such a rule. Lu Ming secretly felt that it was a pity. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to deal with Xing He. Okay, now I will decide the order of the battle. The first battle, Xing He against Lu Ming. The white-haired old man announced. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He didn't expect the first battle to be him. Moreover, his opponent was Xing He. Could it be that the white-haired old man did this on purpose? The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up. This was good too. He would start with Xing He. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and landed on the battle stage. Xing He's figure also landed on the battle stage. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. It was as if a flame was burning fiercely. Lu Ming, this time, you will definitely lose. Xing He shouted loudly. His fighting spirit was soaring. You have already lost back then. Now, you are even less of a match for me. Lu Ming shook his head. His voice was silent. Many people were stunned and revealed a look of realization. It seemed that Lu Ming and Xing He had already fought before. Xing He and Lu Ming are both from Yuan Mountain. Naturally, they have already fought before. It seems that Xing He is not a match for Lu Ming. He has already lost before. Many people discussed. That time, Lu Ming just used a trick. The people of the Hung family were indignant and explained. As for the powerhouses of various forces in the Yuan Mountain area, they were watching with rapt attention. Lu Ming and Hung Xinghe both came from the land of Yuan Mountain. In the past, Hung Xinghe had always been known as the #1 prodigy in the land of Yuan Mountain. Since Lu Ming's rise, this phenomenon had changed. Whoever won this battle would be the #1 prodigy of the Yuan Mountain area. Xing He, then I will crush you. I will let you understand the gap between us. Lu Ming said faintly. Bang! Bang! Chapter 21:21. Lu Ming stepped forward, and with every step he took, a river of law appeared on Lu Ming's body. When he took the first step, the law of chaos turned into a river and surrounded Lu Ming's body. When he took the second step, another river of law appeared. It was the river of law of death. Chaos and death, the two strongest rivers of law, surrounded Lu Ming's body and attracted everyone's attention. This was because this was a scene that had never appeared in the Yuan realm since ancient times. It was a miracle. Many people even took out their breath shadow stones to record all of this. Then, a shocking scene appeared. The two rivers of law merged together and turned into a two-colored river of law. It's merged. The two strongest laws have merged together. Someone shouted excitedly. Oh my God, it's heaven-defying. The two strongest laws have really merged together. It's a miracle. Countless people roared, and even many great emperors could not calm down and open their eyes wide. Two supreme laws fused together. This could be called a legend. At this moment, Yuan Xian, Bao Da, and the others were shocked. My hair. Why is this guy always so crazy? Monk Wuliang chanted a Buddhist mantra, and his face turned bitter. Even Tianming, who had always been calm, had his smile disappear at this moment, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Stellar River was also shocked and showed a look of disbelief. I'll defeat you. Lu Ming took a step forward, charging toward the Stellar River like a bolt of lightning. Eternal Divine Bell. Stellar River roared. He was unwilling to give up, and he still wanted to fight. A divine bell appeared on his body. There were ancient patterns on it. Clang. The eternal divine bell vibrated, and a terrifying sound of killing erupted. Compared to the past, the power of Stellar River's eternal divine bell was many times stronger. However, now that Lu Ming had merged the law of chaos and the law of death, in addition to his extremely condensed saint power and physical strength, the combat strength that erupted was too strong. Lu Ming ignored Stellar River's attack and his body did not stop, and he continued to charge. When those sounds of slaughter landed on Lu Ming's body, they were blocked by the two-colored river of laws. They couldn't break through Lu Ming's defense at all. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming approached the stellar river. Boom! Lu Ming used the Chaos Divine Palm and fused two supreme laws of nature to strike the eternal divine bell in the stellar river. Dong! The eternal divine bell vibrated violently, releasing terrifying sound waves that swept out in all directions. A few true emperors and grand emperors created a barrier in front of them. Otherwise, they would have been injured. The weaker ones would have died from the shockwaves. Pacha! Cracking sounds could be heard from the eternal godly bell as cracks began to appear on it. The cracks were like a spider web as they covered the entire eternal godly bell. Bang! In the end, the eternal divine bell exploded and turned into specks of light before dissipating. Lu Ming's palm force didn't stop, bombarding Xinghe's body. Xinghe's body was like a scarecrow, flying out and heavily falling to the ground, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Defeated. Xinghe was defeated in a single move. Many people were stunned. Is the fusion of two supreme laws so terrifying? Someone's voice was dry and filled with disbelief. Xinghe was a peerless genius who made it into the top 10. Yet, he was defeated in a single move by Lu Ming. The gap between them was shocking and horrifying. Since ancient times, no one in the primordial realm has mastered two supreme laws, and no one has fused them together. No one knows what kind of power the fusion of two supreme laws will have. Someone said solemnly. Everyone took a deep breath. That was indeed the case. Moreover, they thought about how many laws Lu Ming could control. Every time he controlled a river of laws, he would refine his saint force and body. No wonder Lu Ming's combat strength was so strong. They finally understood. You've lost, Lu Ming said indifferently as he looked at Xinghe indifferently. Xinghe vomited another mouthful of blood. He couldn't accept this result. Back then, he was the #1 genius of the primordial realm. He was high and mighty and looked down on others. When he first met Lu Ming, he didn't care about Lu Ming at all. Even if he knew that Lu Ming was the son of chaos, he didn't care. He thought that he was strong enough to suppress all enemies and would not be defeated. But later, in the Lotus world, he was defeated by Lu Ming. However, at that time, Lu Ming had used some kind of secret technique. He always thought that Lu Ming had borrowed external force and that he wouldn't be defeated with his own strength. Over the years, he had been cultivating in seclusion. Especially when he knew about the Battle of the 10 Earths, he cultivated even harder. He wanted to amaze everyone in the Battle of the 10 Earths and completely suppress Lu Ming and trample him under his feet. Even though there were many geniuses this time and it was beyond his imagination, he still managed to make it into the top 10. Unfortunately, his opponent, Lu Ming, performed even more amazingly. Although he hadn't become an emperor, he had mastered two types of strongest laws. And now, he had defeated him in one move. His combat strength was strong enough to look down on him. At this moment, his confidence and belief suffered a great blow. He kept coughing blood. Damn it! Great Emperor Hung roared. Lu Ming was the nemesis of the Hung family. Master is mighty. Master is invincible. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouying Emoli were making a big fuss. They were even happier than if they had one. Do you want to fight again? Lu Ming continued to step forward. The two-colored river of laws surrounded him like a god descending to the mortal world. Xinghe hadn't admitted defeat yet. If he wanted to fight again, Lu Ming could ruthlessly torture Xinghe. Unfortunately, Xinghe didn't give him the chance. I've lost. Xinghe was very unwilling, but he could only admit defeat. Otherwise, he would only be tortured. I've said it before. If I can defeat you once, I can defeat you twice. You'll never be my opponent in the future. Lu Ming left this arrogant sentence and then flew out of the fighting ring. Xinghe's expression was ugly. He also left the battle stage and took a pill to heal his injuries. This was only his first battle. There were more battles waiting for him. The first battle, Lu Ming wins. The second battle, Bubble versus Yunhauge. The white-haired old man announced. Many people's eyes immediately lit up. They realized that every battle that followed was very attractive. Bubble and Yunhauge had both mastered the law of space-time. Moreover, according to the great emperor, Bubble's original form was a divine beast with a great background. Everyone wanted to know what Bubble's original form was. Bubble, do your best. Lu Ming patted Bubble's little head. Don't worry. That guy is weird. I'll definitely beat him up. Chirp chirp. Bubble cried out. Not far away, Yunhauge's face was full of black lines. What did she mean by him being eccentric? How was he being eccentric? Chapter 21-22. Be my pet beast. We both cultivate the laws of space and time. It's beneficial to both of us. Yunhauge said again. It's the same the other way around. You can be my pet. Bubble pouted. Yunhauge's expression darkened. If you don't agree, I'll beat you until you do. Whoosh. Yunhauge moved. As he moved, the space around him rippled like water. His body seemed to be traveling through space at an incredible speed. Many people saw him move. In the next moment, Yunhauge's body was already in front of Bubble. He grabbed at Bubble with his hand. Bubble didn't have time to dodge and was caught by the hand. However, with a bang, Yunhauge caught nothing. The Bubble's figure shattered like an illusion. It was only a mirror image. Bubble had already left. Just as Yunhauge grabbed Bubble's mirror image, Bubble's figure suddenly appeared behind Yunhauge. He reached out with his small hand and attacked Yunhauge. However, Yunhauge's figure also shattered at the same time. This was also a mirror image. Yunhauge's figure had also left. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, Yunhauge's figure appeared behind Bubble. Not only that, dozens of Yunhauge's figures appeared in other parts of the battle platform as well. This is fun. Chirp chirp, Bubble cried. His small figure also disappeared. In the next moment, dozens of figures appeared and pounced at Yunhauge's figures. In an instant, figures flashed on the battle platform. One figure after another flashed, but they were defeated one after another. In the end, it was discovered that they were all mirror images. Not a single one hit the real body. Many of the weaker cultivators were dazzled by the sight. They couldn't see the real body or the mirror image. They could only see the space rippling like water on the battle platform. One figure after another flashed and attacked. In the blink of an eye, there were dozens and hundreds of figures crisscrossing each other. As time passed, the speed reached an extreme. In the end, the two figures couldn't be seen at all. Lu Ming channeled his saint power into his eyes to capture the two figures. Amazing! Both of them have reached an extremely profound level in the use of the laws of space and time. A true emperor exclaimed. The space-time laws were extremely mysterious to begin with. Ordinary people would not even be able to touch someone who controlled the space-time laws. This was the use of space and time, the collision of time and space. It had only been a minute, but the two of them had already exchanged countless blows. Let me break your space-time laws. Yunhauge was getting impatient. All of his silhouettes disappeared, leaving only one behind. Boom! The aura on his body became even more violent. The surging power of the world rushed out together with the space-time law. With him as the center, the space constantly collapsed and exploded. Even time was messed up. Two-star Void Emperor. This was Yunhauge's current realm. He wanted to crush Bubble with his powerful cultivation base. Bang! Bang! With him as the center, it was as if a level 12 hurricane had been set off, sweeping toward the Bubble. Wherever it passed, space exploded, time was thrown into chaos, and the mirror images of the Bubble collapsed one by one. Bubble's true body appeared, floating within the chaotic flow of space-time. Lose for me, Yunhauge said coldly. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Bubble. There was a sword in his hand. This was a battle sword condensed from the space-time force. It was extremely sharp and slashed toward Bubble. Bubble waved her small hand, and a space-time sword condensed in her hand as well, colliding with the opponent. Bang! The void trembled. Bubble's cultivation base was still a little weaker, only a one-star Void Emperor. She was not a match for Yunhauge in terms of strength. Instead, she was sent flying by the opponent. After Yunhauge sent Bubble flying, he chased after her and attacked Bubble again. After a few consecutive blows, Bubble was suppressed and fell into a disadvantageous position. Hauge used his stronger cultivation base to constantly shatter the surrounding space and disrupt the space-time force, forcing Bubble to face him head-on. Bubble, you can do it. Lu Xiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others shouted, cheering for Bubble. Be my beast pet. Hauge's eyes were cold as he stared at Bubble. Chirp, chirp, Bubble cried out, her eyes filled with anger. Her body emitted a white light, and in the next moment, Bubble directly transformed into her true body. It was a small spiritual mouse. Its fur was snow-white and sparkling, shining with a little luster. It was exceptionally cute. Could it be a space-time spiritual mouse? One of the top 10 beasts, the space-time spiritual mouse. Someone exclaimed, and the scene was in an uproar again. It's a space-time spiritual mouse. Hauge's eyes were burning with greed. He could not wait to take Bubble for himself. In the Yuan continent, there were some geniuses who could awaken the bloodlines of the top 10 beasts. The Yuan realm was vast and boundless, and there were many such geniuses. However, those geniuses who had awakened the bloodlines of the top 10 beasts were only humans after all. They had only awakened a little of their bloodline, and the difference between them and the top 10 beasts was too great. There were countless divine beasts in the world, but there were only 10 of the top 10 beasts. Each of the top 10 beasts was unique. In the world, it was impossible for 2 of the top 10 beasts to appear. Each of them was unique. Only when one of the top 10 beasts fell could a new one be born. In ancient times, each of the top 10 beasts was a pinnacle expert in the world. One could imagine how powerful and talented the top 10 beasts were. Now, it was a young space-time spiritual mouse. It was too rare. The space-time spiritual mouse is mine. Hauge roared in his heart. The space-time spiritual mouse was born to control space-time. If he could get it, it would be of great help to him. Surrender. Hauge continued to attack Bubble. Human pet, you're the one who's surrendering. Bubble shouted. Her body glowed, and white rays of light spread out, causing the void to ripple like water again. Whoosh! Bubble's figure disappeared. She traveled through space-time without leaving a trace. At the same time, the endless space in all directions was shrinking, squeezing toward Hauge. Break! Hauge shouted. His 2-star illusionary emperor cultivation was fully unleashed. Together with his space-time law, he wanted to shatter the surrounding space. However, in the next moment, his expression changed. He felt that his space-time law was being suppressed. What was even more shocking was that his space-time law was being manipulated instead. The space-time law that he unleashed was oppressing him instead. Bang! Hauge's body shook violently. The endless space-time power pressed on his body, piercing through his power of the world. His body flew out, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. What's going on? Many people were dumbfounded. Just now, Hauge clearly had the upper hand. How did the situation turn completely around in the blink of an eye? Hauge was injured by Bubble in one move. Chapter 21-23. Hauge is being restrained. A great emperor explained. Restrained? Some people were confused, while others were deep in thought. One of the top 10 battle beasts, the space-time spirit mouse, is born with the ability to control space-time. Although Hauge is the space-time son, he's still a bit weaker than the space-time spirit mouse. Therefore, he's being restrained in terms of space-time laws. The martial monarch explained once again. Everyone was enlightened. The space-time spirit mouse could only unleash its true strength after revealing its true form. It could use the space-time laws to the fullest and even control Hauge's space-time laws. It could be said that Hauge was no longer a match for Bubbles. Whoosh! Bubble traveled through space-time. Her body was small, but wherever she passed, space-time followed. The space wrapped around her like water, and endless space-time power charged at Hauge. Hauge roared. He was a little unwilling and wanted to flip over. Unfortunately, it was useless. At this moment, he couldn't control the space-time laws effectively. It was extremely difficult to control them. Without the space-time laws, how could he be Bubbles' opponent? He was sent flying again and coughed up blood. With your strength, you want to take me as a pet beast? You're overestimating yourself. I said that you'd be more suitable to be my human pet. Hurry up and kneel down and call me master. Bubble was extremely excited. She traveled through the void and slapped Yunhauga with her little paw. Yunhauga roared in anger. He unleashed his full strength, but it was useless. He couldn't defy the heavens. He was completely suppressed by Bubble. In the end, his face was scratched by Bubble, leaving a claw mark. You have my mark on your face. You're now my human pet. Chirp, 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 chirp. Bubble screamed excitedly. Yunhauga was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Many people were speechless. They could see that compared to the space-time spirit mouse, Bubble was still in its infancy. She wasn't deliberately humiliating Yunhauga. However, in Yunhauga's eyes, it was a blatant humiliation. He roared in anger, but in the end, he still rushed down the battle platform in humiliation and admitted defeat. He knew that if he continued to fight, he would only be humiliating himself. That guy. Yes, that guy has a good relationship with the space-time spirit mouse. I'll take revenge on him later. Yunhauga was infuriated. He glanced at Lu Ming. He couldn't beat Bubbles, so he could only get back at her from Lu Ming. Lu Ming noticed Yunhauga's gaze and was speechless. Why was this guy staring at him with a face full of resentment? Lu Ming pursed his lips and didn't take it to heart. If this guy didn't know what was good for him, he wouldn't mind giving him a beating when they met again. Bubbles won the match. Whoosh! Bubble transformed back into human form and hung on Lu Ming's neck. Big brother Lu Ming, I'm awesome, right? Chirp. Bubbles pouted. Amazing, amazing. Bubbles is the best. Lu Ming said with a smile. Bubbles is the best. Come, let sister hug you. Lu Xiang walked over and looked at Bubbles, her eyes shining. Lu Xiang's eyes were twinkling with little stars after seeing Bubbles' original form. Little guy, don't be rude. You have to call me auntie. Chirp. Bubbles pouted and looked at Lu Xiang with disdain. Lu Xiang immediately retreated with a bitter face, causing Chiu Autumn Moon, Huang Ling, and the others to laugh. Everyone looked at Lu Ming with envy in their eyes. Lu Ming not only had 2 Elysian children as his disciples, but he also seemed to have a good relationship with the space-time spirit mouse. Especially Yunhauga. His eyes were full of jealousy. The third match, Yuan Xian against the ancient demon, the white-haired old man announced again. The scene fell silent, and everyone's attention was drawn back. 2 figures stepped into the arena. It was Yuan Xian and the ancient demon. Boom. Without saying much, they directly attacked. A terrifying collision occurred. The son of chaos, Yuan Xian, punched the air with astonishing power. It was like a huge mountain pressing down on the ancient demon. The ancient demon was covered in demonic light. He cultivated the primordial path of demons, and his attack power was astonishing. He clashed fiercely with Yuan Xian. In the first 10 moves, the two were evenly matched. After 10 moves, Yuan Xian did not hold back and unleashed his full strength. 2-star Illusionary Emperor. This was Yuan Xian's strength, and he had already reached the peak of the 2-star Illusionary Emperor. 2 years ago, Yuan Xian had just broken through to the Martial Emperor realm. After cultivating for 2 years, he had already reached the peak of the 2-star Illusionary Emperor realm. This speed was very shocking. Every breakthrough in the Martial Emperor realm was very difficult and required a lot of time. Some Martial Emperors were trapped in the same realm for hundreds of thousands of years and could not break through. In the end, they died under the lightning tribulation. This was also because Yuan Xian had entered that space that he could break through so quickly. Yuan Xian, who had unleashed his full strength, was extremely terrifying. He could completely suppress the ancient demon. It was not that the ancient demon was weak. He was very strong, and there were not many opponents at the same level as him. Unfortunately, his cultivation was still a little weak. He was only a 1-star Illusionary Emperor, and it was difficult for him to fight against Yuan Xian. After a few moves, the ancient demon coughed out blood and retreated. He was defeated by Yuan Xian. It's a pity that the ancient demon's cultivation is still a little weak. If he reaches the 2-star Illusionary Emperor realm, he might be able to compete with Yuan Xian. The power of the primordial path of demons is really amazing. Some people discussed, looking at the potential of the ancient demon. However, in the next moment, the crowd looked forward to it even more. There were 4 people left: Tianming, Wu Liang, Baoda, and Xieko. These 4 people were extremely terrifying geniuses. 2 years ago, they had already broken through to the martial emperor realm. Next, the 4 of them were going to fight. It would definitely be a battle of the peak. Wu Liang, Xieko, the white-haired old man announced. The crowd immediately became nervous. Wu Liang was a Buddhist genius who had suddenly risen in recent years. He had displayed unparalleled talent. He had been bragging to the outside world that he was the reincarnation of the Buddha God and that his previous life was an unparalleled almighty. Although his character was sometimes criticized, his talent and combat strength were real. He stood at the peak of Yuan continent. As for Xieko, he was a real dragon who had cultivated the primordial path of demons. He had an unparalleled demonic body and was also incomparably powerful. Who would win? The crowd was filled with anticipation. 2 figures stepped into the fighting ring. I have hair. Benefactor, you and I are fated. Why don't you be my guardian divine beast? Wu Liang said with a straight face. Monk, are you insulting me? I will twist your head off. Xieko's face was ferocious. Xieko came from the land of divine beasts. The land of divine beasts was home to various powerful divine beasts such as real dragons, phoenixes, and cheilants. He was the #1 genius in the land of divine beasts. Now, Wu Liang wanted to take him in as his guardian divine beast. How could he not be angry? I have hair. Benefactor, you want to twist my head off as soon as you open your mouth. Your killing intent is too strong. You should return to Buddhism and refine your killing intent, Wu Liang said with a straight face. Lu Ming and Long Chun despised him. This monk was definitely up to no good. Refine your head. Die. Chapter 21-24. The purple gold true dragon could be said to be the royal family of the true dragons and was extremely powerful. The dragon claw stepped on the air and clawed at Monk Wu Liang. There was no fluctuation of the laws, but no one doubted the power of the claw. It could easily tear a 1-star empty emperor apart. You're so stubborn. Be careful. I'll catch you and cook you for my wine. Monk Wu Liang shouted. Everyone looked at each other. Lu Ming and Long Chun looked at Monk Wu Liang with disdain once again. This was probably Monk Wu Liang's true intention. Wang. Unscrupulous monk's body glowed with golden light. Behind him, a golden Buddha statue appeared. It was 100 feet tall. Unscrupulous monk stood on top of the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue waved its hand, and a mountain-like hand blasted towards Chil. Boom! A terrifying vibration sounded. The 2 of them were evenly matched. 9 attacks of the demon god. Xieko let out a long roar and unleashed a terrifying attack technique of the immemorial demonic Tao. His body glowed as 5 dragon claws attacked continuously. Each attack was terrifying to the extreme, capable of tearing apart the void and shattering the earth. Fortunately, this battle stage was made by a great emperor and was indestructible. No matter how they fought, they could not destroy it. Buddha Kingdom in the palm. Heartless monk had a dignified appearance as he displayed the great divine ability of Buddhism. He stretched out his hand and a palm stretched out. It rapidly enlarged and pressed towards Chil. There seemed to be a Buddha kingdom in his palm. There were 3,000 golden arhats chanting scriptures. The golden light was more dazzling than the sun. Boom, boom. Monk Wu Liang and Xieko's cultivation had both reached the 2-star empty emperor realm. They were extremely powerful. The dragon's roar shook the sky, and the chanting of scriptures resounded throughout Destiny Mountain. The 2 of them continued to exchange blows and exchanged dozens of blows. What terrifying combat strength! I'm afraid that an ordinary 3-star empty emperor would be torn apart instantly. Someone from the empty emperor realm said solemnly. He has just broken through to the martial emperor realm and hasn't comprehended any other laws. Yet, he's already so terrifying. The others exclaimed. There were many factors that determined one's combat strength in the martial emperor realm. However, it was shocking to have such combat strength after just breaking through to the empty emperor realm a few years ago. The 2 of them fought fiercely. They used all kinds of trump cards and displayed a pinnacle battle. This was the most intense battle in the competition for the top 10 positions. The two of them were evenly matched, and it was difficult to determine the victor in a short period of time. The battle lasted for more than 200 rounds. I am the reincarnation of the Buddha god. Little worm, come and protect me. In the future, you will live a good life. If I have meat to eat, you will have soup to drink. Unscrupulous monk shouted as he fought. Cheel was so angry that his nose was about to become crooked. He was a purple gold true dragon, a royal among the true dragons, yet he was called a little reptile. Also, aren't Buddhists vegetarians? Why the f***ck are you eating meat? Amitabha. Some of the Buddhists who were watching the battle had solemn expressions on their faces. They chanted the name of Buddha and seemed a little embarrassed. However, although Wu Liang was unreliable, his battle prowess was indeed ridiculously strong, making people shudder. From the start of the battle until now, his body was blooming with tens of thousands of rays of Buddha's light. It was as if the more he fought, the more courageous he became. It was as if the Buddha had truly turned around, and the Dharma of Buddhism was boundless. Many people were indignant. This fellow was so unreliable, but his Buddhist divine abilities were inconceivably powerful. It really made them envious. The battle continued, and both of them were injured. Cheel's scales fell off, and he was dripping with blood. On the other hand, Unscrupulous Monk was scratched by the dragon claws, and a few hideous claw marks appeared. One of his arms was almost torn off. This was a tragic battle. You are too cruel. Be careful of retribution, Wu Liang shouted, but he was more ruthless than anyone else. All kinds of Buddhist divine abilities greeted Cheel's body, and a large number of scales fell off. These scales are treasures. Don't waste them. And the dragon blood, take it back and make soup. In the battle, Unscrupulous Monk did not forget to take the dragon scales and dragon blood. Cheel was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He was so angry that he attacked crazily. In his anger, he finally revealed a flaw. Unscrupulous Monk seized the opportunity and continuously attacked him fiercely. He vomited blood and kept retreating. In a battle between experts, a step behind would lead to a step behind. Once Cheel was at a disadvantage, it was difficult for him to reverse the situation. At first, he was suppressed by Unscrupulous Monk, and finally, he was knocked out of the fighting ring. Unscrupulous won this battle. Me-haired, thank you for letting me win. Well, about the protector I mentioned before, please consider it. Unscrupulous Monk's eyes could not leave Cheel. He imagined how cool it would be if he had a purple gold true dragon as a mount. Get lost. Cheel roared. You and I are really fated. Unscrupulous Monk shouted again. Fated my ass. Cheel vomited another mouthful of blood, turned into his human form, and ran to the side to heal. Me-haired little girl, you and I are fated. Unscrupulous Monk stared at Bubbles again and walked toward Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming directly kicked Unscrupulous Monk's face. Lu Ming, you're too ruthless. I'm injured, and you still attacked me. I'll recuperate first. Unscrupulous Monk smiled and retreated to the side to heal. Next, Tianming, Bao Da, the white-haired old man announced. Everyone's eyes lit up. Even Lu Ming was the same. Tianming was going to fight Bao Da. Everyone was curious about what kind of ability Tianming would use in this battle. Previously, Tianming had defeated his opponent without even taking a single step. But now, could he do the same against Bao Da? Bao Da was a primordial physique cultivator. He was extremely powerful and definitely not weaker than Cheel and Wu Liang. It would not be easy to defeat Bao Da. Boom. Bao Da landed heavily on the fighting ring. His dark skin was flowing with black light, full of power. He was 3 meters tall, like an iron tower. Tianming, come on, let's fight. I want to see how you can control my fate with the law of destiny. Bao Da shouted, his voice rumbling like thunder. Your fate is sealed. You will lose. Tianming stepped down from the sky, his white robe fluttering. He landed on the fighting ring like an immortal. Whether I lose or not is not up to you to decide. Show me your strength, Bao Da shouted. then took a step forward and rushed toward Tianming like a primordial beast. "You are destined to be struck by lightning," Tianming said with a gentle smile on his face. As soon as he finished speaking, countless lightning bolts appeared out of thin air and struck toward Bao De. Bao De did not care, allowing the lightning to strike his body. He rushed through it, unharmed. The lightning could not break through his defense at all. "Is that all you have? Are you trying to scratch my itch?" Bao De grinned and did not stop. He charged toward Tianming and punched out. The void shook as a fist force blasted toward Tianming. "It is destined that you can't hit me," Tianming said. Chapter 21-25. Everyone was shocked. The law of destiny was too invincible. He said that he was fated not to be hit, but his opponent really couldn't hit him. How was he supposed to fight then? Bao De's attack isn't strong enough. If it was, he could have broken through the law of destiny. An expert spoke up to clear everyone's doubts. "You're fated to be burned by fire. You're fated to be cut down." Tianming continued to speak, his speed extremely fast. Then, all kinds of attacks fell from the sky, blasting toward Bao De. Boom, boom. Bao De waved his fist, instantly dispersing the attacks. "I've been burning my body with fire and refining it with lightning since I was young. Your attacks can only scratch an itch for me." Bao De's battle intent grew stronger and stronger. He broke through the layers of attacks and quickly approached Tianming. His muscles wriggled and his bones cracked as he punched with all his might. The power of this punch was even more shocking and powerful than before. At this moment, Tianming's expression finally turned serious. He stretched out a finger and pointed forward. "Destiny says, absolute defense." A white wall of light appeared in front of him. Bao De's fist struck the wall of light, causing a terrifying explosion that caused the entire platform to shake. "Haha, you finally made your move. It seems like your strength is only SOSO. Bao De laughed, then waved his fist, causing the wall of light in front of Tianming to shake continuously. "Bao De, you're fated to be injured." Tianming spoke again. His body emitted a bright light as he stretched out his finger. "Roar." At this moment, Bao De roared. He seemed to have been hit by an invisible and terrifying attack. His body shook, and he took a few steps back, blood flowing from his mouth. Everyone was shocked. They didn't see anything attacking Bao De at all. They only knew that Bao De was going to be injured, and he was injured. This kind of method was too shocking and unbelievable. "Your attack power is limited. If you have the ability, just kill me directly. Let's see if you can do it." Bao De roared and charged toward Tianming again. His body swelled up, and his originally burly body became even more shocking. He was like a giant born into the world. Boom. Bao De stomped heavily on the platform, and like a black lightning, he pressed down on Tianming like a demonic mountain. "You're fated to be injured," Tianming spoke again, unleashing a series of profound attacks. "Break, break, break all techniques with one force." Bao De roared as he punched out with both his fists. The void was pierced through, and Tianming's attacks were all destroyed by Bao De. Bao De's strength is terrifying. His strength is slightly above Wu Liang and Xia Ke's, a natural primordial body cultivator. If such a person were to cultivate in the nomological system, he would be trash. However, if he were to cultivate in the primordial body cultivation, he would be an incomparably rare genius. Experts spoke one after another, all shocked by Bao De's strength. Tianming's expression was a little grave, but it was only a little. "Great fate," he spoke softly, and the light on his body became even brighter. Boom. With a wave of his hand, a divine light slashed toward Bao De. Dong, dong. Bao De continued to swing his fists, bombarding the divine light. However, the divine light was indestructible and unshakable. With every punch, Bao De had to retreat a little. After dozens of punches, Bao De had retreated dozens of miles and was out of the fighting ring. At that moment, the divine light dissipated. "Damn it, I haven't fought enough. Let's fight again." Bao De roared like a berserk beast. Then, his body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "You've lost." Tianming regained his indifferent expression and turned to leave. What strength? It's hard to estimate. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at Tianming. Tianming gave off an unfathomable feeling. Although Baoda had forced out a part of Tianming's strength, no one knew if that was Tianming's final strength or if he was still hiding it. Not only Lu Ming, but the other geniuses, such as Yuan Xian, Xie Ku, and Yun Haoge, all had grave expressions. Tianming's strength gave them a lot of pressure. I really want to fight with you. I'll prove to everyone who's the strongest in the world. Yuan Xian whispered, his battle intent surging. How am I supposed to fight with this freak? Wu Liang had a bitter face. All right, the first round of the competition is over. Lu Ming, Bubbles, Wu Liang, Yuan Xian, and Tianming win, each gaining 1 point. Next, the second round, Lu Ming against Bubbles, the old man announced. Huh. Lu Ming and Bubbles were stunned. They met so quickly. That old man did it on purpose, right? I admit defeat. I won't fight with big brother Lu Ming. I admit defeat. Bubbles hung on Lu Ming's neck and refused to come down. The spectators were calm and were not too surprised. They had long known that it was impossible for Lu Ming and Bubbles to fight. One of them would definitely admit defeat. All right, Lu Ming wins this round. Next, Yun Haoge against Yuan Xian. The white-haired old man announced again. Yun Haoge against Yuan Xian. This was also a pinnacle battle, and the battle was incomparably intense. But in the end, Yuan Xian used 2 types of laws and fused them, defeating Yun Haoge in one fell swoop. This shocked everyone and made them re-evaluate Yuan Xian's combat strength. Yuan Xian had actually comprehended a second type of law, and it was a type of King Dao law. With the fusion of 2 types, his strength had increased exponentially. This made everyone marvel at Yuan Xian's talent. He had only become an emperor not long ago, and he had already comprehended a second type of law. Moreover, his mastery was not low. The third round of the second round, Xie Ku against Heng Xinghe. This was a battle without any suspense. Heng Xinghe was crushed and lost 2 rounds in a row. The fourth round, Ancient Devil against Baoda. Both of them cultivated the ancient cultivation system. Unfortunately, Ancient Devil's cultivation was slightly weaker and was not Baoda's opponent. He was easily defeated by Baoda. The fifth round, Tianming against Monk Wu Liang. Monk Wu Liang was very straightforward. He did not even go on stage and directly admitted defeat. In his words, he was stupid to fight even though he knew he could not win. The second round of the competition ended. Only Lu Ming, Tianming, and Yuan Xian were still in a winning streak. After 10 rounds of battle, everyone had already begun to predict the rankings of the 10 people. Without a doubt, Tianming is the strongest. He will be the champion this time. It's hard to say. Yuan Xian is not weak either. What he has shown now might not be his full strength. Perhaps he can compete with Tianming. From the looks of it, the first 2 should be Tianming and Yuan Xian. The third is very likely to be Baoda, but it's not certain. In general, the top 5 should be Tianming, Yuan Xian, Baoda, Wu Liang, and Xie Ku. Everyone made their own guesses, but most people believe that it should not be a problem for Tianming, Yuan Xian, Baoda, Wu Liang, and Xie Ku to get into the top 5. What about Lu Ming? He's not weak either. He has mastered 2 types of ultimate laws. He's not weak. He has no problem suppressing Heng Xinghe and Ancient Devil. However, compared to Yun Haoge and Bubble, his strength is probably inferior. I estimate that Lu Ming's final ranking should be 7th. Chapter 21-26. As the crowd discussed, the third round began. Lu Ming's luck seemed to be pretty good. His first match was against the Ancient Devil. As expected, the Ancient Devil was very strong, but he was no match for Lu Ming. He was defeated by Lu Ming. This was the second time the Ancient Devil had been defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming won 3 consecutive matches. Lu Ming's winning streak will probably end here. The next opponents he will face will not be weak. They will all be stronger than him. That's right. He won 3 matches in a row. I estimate that he will lose 6 matches in a row. Some people discussed, thinking that Lu Ming's winning streak would end here. The second match of the third round was between Bubble and Chiel. This was an intense battle, a battle at the pinnacle. Although Bubble's cultivation was slightly weaker, after transforming into its original form, its strength had increased exponentially. Its control of space-time had reached an unimaginable level. Cheel was strong, but he could not hit Bubble. Of course, it was not easy for Bubble to defeat Cheel. It could be said that it was very difficult. In the end, after more than 200 moves, Cheel was careless and was teleported out of the stage by Bubble. In this battle, Bubbles won an unexpected victory. This made the crowd reevaluate Bubble's strength. It also made them realize the strength of the top 10 battle beasts. In a battle of the same level, the Elysian Child was not as strong as the top 10 battle beasts. Next was Yuan Xian's match against Hung Xinghe. Needless to say, Hung Xinghe was defeated again. This made his expression turn uglier and uglier. Some people were already certain that Hung Xinghe would be ranked 10th. There was no suspense. The fourth match was between Wuliang and Baoda. This was another peak battle. Wuliang used Buddha's golden body and various Buddha's abilities, but Baoda broke through everything. The two of them exchanged hundreds of moves. Wuliang shouted, but it was useless this time. He could not defeat Baoda and was finally defeated and blasted out of the stage. Baoda won this match. The last match of the third round was between Tianming and Yunhauge. I can see my own fate in the river of time. Yunhauge roared and fought Tianming with the space-time law. The space-time law did have some restraining effect on the fate law. This was because he could peek into his own fate through the river of time. Of course, fate was constantly changing. What he saw was only the tip of the iceberg. Later on, Tianming used the greater fate art to sever Yunhauge's river of time and defeat him. At the end of the third round, Lu Ming, Tianming, and Yuan Xian won 3 consecutive victories. However, everyone thought that Lu Ming was just lucky in the first 3 rounds. He would lose consecutively in the later rounds. As for Heaven's Will and Yuan Xin, they were obtained through fighting. After a few rounds, the white-haired elder allowed everyone to rest for half a day. Half a day later, the fourth round began. In the first match of the fourth round, Lu Ming was still the first to fight, but this time, his opponent was Yunhauge. Yunhauge looked excited. The two of them stepped onto the Colosseum. Lu Ming, your good luck has come to an end. You will suffer a crushing defeat in this round. I will make you understand that the space-time spirit mouse is not something you can possess. Yunhauge said coldly, your space-time law is too weak. You are no match for me. Admit defeat, lest I attack you. Lu Ming was very direct. He told Yunhauge to admit defeat. This stunned everyone. They thought that Lu Ming was boasting too much. Although Lu Ming had mastered 2 supreme laws, which could be said to be unprecedented, he was only a quasi-emperor after all. How could he be a match for Yunhauge? Yunhauge's cultivation had already reached the 2-star Void Emperor level. Moreover, even if they fought at the same level, he was still one of the best among the Elysian children. With such a huge difference in cultivation, how could Lu Ming be a match for him? Haha, you want me to admit defeat? What a joke. I will teach you a lesson. Yunhauge said sinisterly. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards Lu Ming. He shuttled through the void at an astonishing speed. In the process of Yunhauge dashing out, the void in all directions was distorted. A terrifying force suppressed Lu Ming's body. This force contained the power of time. It contained time deceleration, causing Lu Ming's speed to become as slow as a tortoise's. There was also the power of space. The space around Lu Ming continued to press down on Lu Ming, trying to bind him. On the contrary, Yunhauge's speed skyrocketed under the support of the space-time law. In an instant, he was close to Lu Ming. He pointed a finger, and the power of space condensed. It contained a terrifying tearing force and charged towards Lu Ming. In the face of such a situation, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Boom! He struggled with all his might. His physical body and saint power erupted. The void shook, and the power of space that acted on him continued to explode. Then, a long river of 2-colored laws appeared. This was the fusion of the chaos law and the death law. Boom! Lu Ming's arms shook, and he struck out with his palm. The void exploded, and the space-time law that acted on him was directly cut open. Lu Ming's palm blasted towards Yunhauge. But Yunhauge moved, and his body disappeared in an instant. He appeared behind Lu Ming and blasted towards Lu Ming. Bam! Lu Ming seemed to have eyes behind him. He struck out with his palm and collided with Yunhaoge's palm. Yunhaoge's body floated back. Then, his body trembled, and a dense crowd of figures appeared from all directions. So many figures charged towards Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. This was a terrifying killing move. Don't think that the dense crowd of figures were all illusions. In fact, these figures were all real. They were all Yunhaoge's true body. He was shuttling through the void, walking in different spaces. This move was a move that he used in different spaces. Chaos Calamity Finger. In the face of this move, Lu Ming used the Chaos Calamity Finger. He reached out with both hands and pointed continuously. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Finger force burst forth, and each finger force pointed at a figure. Those figures exploded one by one, and finally turned into a figure. Then, Yunhaoge and Lu Ming exchanged dozens of blows, and the various mysteries of the space-time law were displayed incisively and vividly. However, his control of space-time was still not as good as Bubbles. Lu Ming protected himself with two types of laws. He stood firm and broke all of Yunhaoge's attacks. Yunhaoge finally lost his patience. I'll use my cultivation to suppress you. Yunhaoge's eyes were cold, and his two-star Void Emperor cultivation completely erupted. He charged towards Lu Ming. Wherever he passed, a space-time storm flooded towards Lu Ming. A head-on clash? That's exactly what I want. Lu Ming smiled and stood there without moving. When Yunhaoge was about to reach him, a long river of laws appeared on Lu Ming's body again. It was the long river of laws of formations. The long river of laws of formations fused with the chaos law and death law, causing the long river of laws around Lu Ming to turn into three colors. After fusing with another type of law of monarch, Lu Ming's battle strength increased greatly. Boom! He blasted out a palm, and the palm force was like an avalanche, blasting towards Yunhaoge. Chapter 21-27. As soon as Yunhaoge retreated, Lu Ming followed. His speed was astonishing as he approached Yunhaoge. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming instantly struck out hundreds of palms. The void exploded as hundreds of palm prints completely enveloped Yunhaoge in all directions, disrupting space-time. At this moment, Yunhaoge could not even escape using the law of space-time. He could only take Lu Ming's palm force head-on. He roared angrily, activating the law of space-time and erupting with the power of the world to fight Lu Ming head-on. After hundreds of consecutive palms, Yunhaoge's body shook violently as if he had been electrocuted. The law of space-time that covered his body was shattered. His arms directly exploded, unable to withstand Lu Ming's palm force. Smack! In the end, Lu Ming slapped Yunhaoge's face, knocking him to the ground and twitching there. Bam! Then, Lu Ming kicked Yunhaoge's face, sending him flying out of the fighting ring. You want to torture me? You're not even close. Lu Ming said lightly. Yunhaoge fell off the fighting ring, his face swollen like a pig's head. He only woke up after a long time. When he realized his situation, he was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. This time, he had embarrassed himself greatly. Big brother Lu Ming, well done, well done. Bubbles clapped her little hands in celebration. Many people looked at Lu Ming in a different light. Lu Ming was able to defeat Yunhaoge, which was beyond many people's expectations. Yes, he has also mastered the law of array Dao. I didn't expect him to have cultivated 3 types of laws to perfection and even fused them together. He is indeed talented. He has cultivated 3 types of laws before becoming an emperor. It's rare. No wonder he has such strong combat strength. Every time a law was fused, its power would increase exponentially. Even many low-level Void Emperors would find it difficult to fuse 3 types of laws. Putting aside the fact that Lu Ming had mastered 2 supreme nomological laws, even if he had only mastered 3 ordinary nomological laws, his talent was still astonishing. Previously, everyone had thought that Lu Ming would only be able to get 7th place, unable to compete with Wu Liang, Xie Ku, and Bao De. But now, they had changed their minds. Being able to defeat Yun Haoge showed that Lu Ming's strength was already at the level of Wu Liang, Xie, Baoda, and Bubble. He was qualified to compete for the top 5. Even though he had not become a martial emperor yet, he already had such achievements. It was truly shocking. Just like that, Lu Ming obtained 4 consecutive victories. The second match of the 4th round was between Bubbles and Heartless Monk. "My hair is rice, little one. You and I are really fated." On the fighting ring, Unscrupulous Monk looked at Bubbles seriously and almost drooled. This was one of the top 10 beasts. Unscrupulous Monk's heart burned with passion. "Monk, it seems like you're looking for a beating." Bubbles couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Unscrupulous Monk because this was what Lu Ming had taught her. If she saw Unscrupulous Monk, just attack. "Little one, you and I are really fated," Unscrupulous Monk shouted. He didn't hold back and was covered in Buddhist light. Those who didn't know Unscrupulous Monk would really be deceived by his appearance and think that he was an enlightened monk. Bubbles didn't dare to be careless. She directly transformed into her true form and rode on space-time. The space-time spirit mouse's combat strength was strong, and its control of space-time was far above Yun Haoge's. This battle was extremely strange because Unscrupulous Monk couldn't hit Bubbles at all. No matter how he used the Buddhist kingdom in a palm, Buddhist lion's roar, Buddhist palm imprint, and other magical techniques, he couldn't do anything to Bubbles. Instead, he was sometimes caught off guard by Bubbles' sneak attacks. In the end, he was sent flying out of the fighting ring by Bubbles. "Monk, you're thick-skinned." Bubbles curled her lips. Bubbles could only send Unscrupulous Monk flying out of the fighting ring because Unscrupulous Monk's Buddhist golden body was indeed incomparably strong. Bubbles couldn't break it. Of course, if Bubbles' cultivation improved and was on the same level as Unscrupulous Monk, it would be a different story. The third match of the 4th round was between Yuan Xian and Xie. This was another pinnacle battle between the Son of Chaos and the primordial path of monsters. Xie transformed into a 1,000-meter-long purple-gold true dragon. His entire body flowed with purple light. His dragon claws tore through the void, and he used the demon race's magical techniques to fight against Yuan Xian. However, although Xie was very strong, he was still a little weaker than Yuan Xian. Yuan Xian unleashed 2 types of laws and defeated Xie. Next, there was no suspense between Tianming and Xinghe. Xinghe directly admitted defeat. And the 5th match was between Baoda and Ancient Devil. There was no doubt that Baoda won. The 4th round ended, and not long after, the 5th round began. The first match of the 5th round was between Lu Ming and Xie. Xie's eyes were solemn. The strength that Lu Ming had displayed before was enough to threaten him. Therefore, Xie used all his strength as soon as he attacked. He transformed into a purple-gold true dragon and pounced towards Lu Ming. Roar! Lu Ming's body glowed and a shocking dragon roar came out from it, causing Xie's body to tremble and his face to change drastically. 9 dragons. Xie's face was a little ugly. In a battle between experts, milliseconds were crucial. Xie was slightly stunned. Lu Ming had already rushed over and unleashed the law of chaos, the law of death, and the law of array Dao. The 3 types of laws combined and unleashed a storm of attacks, suppressing Xie. Xie barely resisted dozens of moves and was blasted out of the fighting ring by Lu Ming. Lu Ming won. This made many people reevaluate Lu Ming's combat strength once again. They thought that he already had the strength to compete for the top 3. Lu Ming may be able to compete with Baoda, but compared to Yuan Xian and Tianming, he's still a little weaker. Yes, if nothing unexpected happens, he should be hovering between 3rd and 4th place. Some people discussed and reinferred the rankings. The first match of the 5th round ended. The second match was between Bubble and Yuan Xian. This battle was very intense. Bubble transformed into his original body and used the law of time to the extreme, changing unpredictably. However, Yuan Xian's strength was indeed powerful. Just like Lu Ming's previous battle with Yun Haoge, he used his powerful strength to break through the law of time. In this battle, Bubble did not win in the end. After many moves, seeing that he was at a disadvantage, he simply admitted defeat. The third match was between Wuliang and Elderimo. Wuliang won. After that, Tianming and Baoda won respectively. Entering the sixth round, the atmosphere became heated in the first match. Because the first match was between Lu Ming and Baoda. In the eyes of most people, Lu Ming and Baoda were now at the same level and were strong candidates to compete for third place. In this match, whoever won would be able to get third place. Lu Ming, you're amazing. You haven't become an emperor yet, but you have such combat strength. Old Bao, admire you. But this match, the winner will definitely be me. Baoda grinned, his eyes revealing a fierce light like a big black bear. Big guy, don't be so sure. Lu Ming smiled slightly. Then let me see just how strong the fusion of two supreme laws of nature is. Baoda revealed a ferocious look. He took a step forward, and his whole body was like a mountain, crashing toward Lu Ming. Chapter 21-28. The fist force whistled, and the space trembled. This was pure strength. The strength of the physical body was extremely powerful and shocking. Primordial body cultivator. I want to see how powerful your physical body is. Lu Ming did not evade. He erupted with 3 types of laws and used the chaotic divine palm. Dong. The palm and fist collided, and there was an earth-shattering roar. The space where the fist and palm collided was like a ripple of water, constantly shaking. Lu Ming and Baoda's bodies shook at the same time, and they both took a few steps back. What a terrifying strength! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. Baoda relied purely on his physical strength. It was simply terrifying. That punch had shaken Lu Ming's 3 types of laws and almost pierced through them. Lu Ming's physical body had refined 3 streaks of chaotic qi and had been tempered by 5 types of laws. It was already extremely powerful, but compared to Baoda, it was still a far cry. It was said that during the primordial age of the Heaven Realm, there was a primordial body cultivator who had an invincible physical body. He could cross the sky, stand on the ground, and explode the stars in the sky with a single punch. He was unbelievably powerful. When the physical body was cultivated to the extreme, it would be indestructible and immortal, existing with the heavens and earth. Again, Baoda roared, and like a wild beast, he charged at Lu Ming. His muscles bulged, and his body swelled again. Come, Lu Ming shouted. 3 types of laws surrounded him, and he erupted his physical strength and saint power to the extreme to fight Baoda. Dong, dong, dong. The 2 of them were like 2 wild beasts, constantly colliding in the fighting ring. There was no technique, just pure head-on confrontation. Baoda was a primordial body cultivator. His physical strength was boundless and indestructible. Even an ordinary imperial weapon would be destroyed by Baoda's punch. As for Lu Ming, his physical body was also very strong, and his saint power was condensed and thick. Most importantly, the chaotic law was originally as heavy as a mountain, suppressing the world. With the support of the chaotic law, Lu Ming's strength was also boundless. The 2 of them had similar styles, and they constantly collided with each other, causing the fighting ring to rumble. If they were fighting outside, it would definitely be a scene of mountains collapsing and the earth cracking. How terrifying! Seeing the 2 of them fighting, many people's faces turned pale. It was too ferocious. Under such power, any technique was superfluous. Even ultimate laws would be torn. Even if a 2-star Void Emperor were, he would be easily. The 2 of them fought continuously. Great! Lu Ming let out a long howl. After an intense confrontation, he had become increasingly proficient in the application of several laws, especially the law of chaos. The law of primal chaos and the law of forming a river were already perfect at this stage, but the fog had finally dispersed. Baoda also laughed, and his attacks became more and more violent. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had fought over 100 rounds. At this point, the more Lu Ming fought, the braver he became. Finally, he began to gain the upper hand and Baoda began to defend himself. Bam! Baoda began to retreat. Every step he took caused the fighting ring to rumble violently. Stop! I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not fighting anymore. At this moment, Baoda suddenly shouted. Lu Ming retreated. Baoda gasped for breath. He was sweating profusely. It took him a long time to recover. You pervert. I'll admit defeat today. Let's fight another day. Bauta said, Okay, sure. Lu Ming nodded. It was beneficial for him to have a powerful opponent to fight against. Bauta leaped and rushed down the fighting ring. Lu Ming won. Many people widened their eyes. Lu Ming defeated Bauta. It seemed that he would be in the top 3. This was beyond many people's expectations. Previously, they thought that Lu Ming would be good enough to be in the 7th place. Now, the ranking can be seen. Many people began to infer the ranking based on the previous battle results. Everyone thought that the 1st and 2nd place should be between Tianming and Yuan Xian. Lu Ming was 3rd, Bauta was 4th, and Bubbles was 5th. That was the situation for the top 5. Now, everyone was looking forward to the highlight. That was Tianming versus Yuan Xian. As long as the two of them could defeat each other, the top 10 rankings would be set. Humph, don't underestimate my master. Maybe my master can defeat Yuan Xian and Tianming. Lu Xiang pouted when she heard that the people around her thought that Lu Ming could only be in the 3rd place. Haha, little girl, you're really blindly confident. Your master is strong, but it's impossible for him to compete with Tianming and Yuan Xian. He's definitely no match for them. We can understand the little girl's confidence in her master, but you have to see the reality. Several gray-haired old men reminded Lu Xiang kindly, Humph, your eyes are not right at all. Previously, you said that my master could only be in the 7th place. Lu Xiang pursed her lips. We were wrong before, but this time, there's no mistake. Several old men were sure. Lu Xiang pouted, too lazy to pay attention to these old men. The competition continued. Bubble fought Tianming. Bubble directly admitted defeat. He was too lazy to compete since he couldn't win anyway. Then, Xieko defeated Yunhaoge, Yuan Xian defeated Wu Yang, and the ancient demon defeated Hong Xinghe. In this way, Hong Xinghe was already in the last place. He was even inferior to the ancient demon. In general, in this round, except for Lu Ming unexpectedly defeating Bao Di, the other matches were expected by everyone. The 6th round ended, and the 7th round began. Tianming versus Yuan Xian. The gray-haired old man said. As soon as the voice came out, the scene fell silent, and then there was an uproar. The highlight of the show had arrived. The biggest highlight of the show had arrived. Tianming versus Yuan Xian. This seemed to be deliberately arranged by the gray-haired old man. In the previous rounds, Lu Ming fought in the 1st round. Now, the first match of the 7th round was between Tianming and Yuan Xian. The atmosphere was suddenly ignited. Countless people revealed looks of anticipation. In the eyes of the crowd, this was a battle between the two strongest geniuses of the primordial realm. Tianming and Yuan Xian also exuded a strong fighting spirit. Their gazes collided across the air. Although both of them came from the Divine Fateland and were known as the peerless geniuses of the Divine Fateland, they had never fought before. Lu Ming's eyes also revealed a look of anticipation. He had a feeling that Tianming and Yuan Xian had not used their full strength in the previous battle. This battle was enough to show how strong the two of them were. Whoosh! Whoosh! Their figures flashed, and the two rushed directly to the battle stage. Boom! Terrifying auras collided across the air, and a violent explosion erupted. Chapter 21-29. I'll defeat you in this battle and break the legend of destiny, Yuan Xian said, full of confidence in himself. Destiny cannot be broken. Everything in the world has its own destiny. Even the birth and destruction of a world has its own destiny. Therefore, the law of primal chaos is also shrouded by destiny. Tianming said. His white robe was purer than snow. You can't control my destiny. My destiny is in my hands, not the heavens. It's not up to you. Die. Yuan Xian exploded. His figure was like a phantom as he charged at Tianming. The law of primal chaos spread out as he punched out with his primal chaos divine fist. You're destined to be struck by lightning. Tianming spoke again, as if his words were law. As he spoke, all kinds of lightning, flames, ice, poison, and swords blasted toward Yuan Xian. Boom! Boom! Yuan Xian waved his fist, and all the lightning and flames were destroyed. Tianming, you don't have to test me. Show me your true strength. Yuan Xian took a big step forward and attacked Tianming. The aura of two laws spread out from his body. The two laws fused as he punched out. Boom! The fist force crushed forward, stronger than Bao Da's. Great destiny art. Tianming stopped probing and used the law of destiny's theurgy. He reached out a finger and pointed forward. A streak of light erupted like a streak of light, but also like a divine blade as it blasted towards Yuan Xian. Boom! Yuan Xian's fist force was defeated, and the light of destiny continued to blast toward Yuan Xian. Break! Yuan Xian's fists were constantly waving, and in an instant, he punched hundreds of times, smashing the space into pieces. The light of destiny was blocked, and in the end, it was defeated. He blocked it. Yuan Xian is indeed powerful. Someone exclaimed. Previously, when Tianming used the great destiny art, no one could block it. Even someone as strong as Bao Da couldn't block it. But now, Yuan Xian blocked Tianming's light of destiny. Perhaps Yuan Xian could really fight against Tianming. Kill. After Yuan Xian defeated the light of destiny, he took the opportunity to attack Tianming. No one can block the light of destiny. Your fate is sealed in this battle with me. You will lose. Tianming said softly as he pointed his finger. In an instant, dozens of light of destiny burst out. These rays of light took on different shapes. Some were in the shape of swords, some were in the shape of sabers, and some were in the shape of spears. They transformed into all kinds of weapons and shot towards Yuan Xian. The power of each strike was shockingly strong. Yuan Xian waved his fists, trying his best to defend himself. However, there were too many beams of destiny light. Each beam contained boundless power. Yuan Xian was suppressed, retreating repeatedly. Yuan Xian is about to lose. The laws of fate are truly invincible. Some people sighed softly. If even Yuan Xian was no match for him, then who else could be a match for Tianming? No, Yuan Xian can still fight. He's about to erupt. Someone shouted. Boom. At this moment, Yuan Xian's aura skyrocketed once again. His cultivation was still at the peak of the two-star illusionary emperor realm. However, his aura had increased tremendously. Chaotic divine body. Yuan Xian roared. Boundless primal chaos law gathered towards Yuan Xian. His body started to change. It turned gray, as if his physical body had turned into a primal chaos stone. Yes, the chaos stones. When Lu Ming used the chaotic divine palm, his palm would turn gray, like a primal chaos stone. Now, Yuan Xian's body had turned into such a state. This was a terrifying secret technique. Boom, boom. Yuan Xian's body seemed to have really turned into a primal chaos stone. It was indestructible. He punched out continuously, destroying all the beams of destiny light. For the first time, a trace of seriousness appeared in Tianming's eyes. His body shone brightly as he constantly pointed his finger. Beams of destiny light shot out continuously, blasting towards Yuan Xian. However, Yuan Xian's chaotic divine body had increased his combat strength. Each of his punches was able to destroy a beam of destiny light. Yuan Xian was rapidly approaching Tianming. Everyone was shocked. Was Yuan Xian really going to change his destiny and defeat Tianming today? In front of everyone's shocked eyes, Yuan Xian approached Tianming and punched out, piercing through Tianming's chest. However, Tianming's body was like an illusion. It was illusory and nothing happened to him. Destiny has determined that I won't be defeated. No matter what you do, it's useless. River of Destiny, come out. Tianming said. Then, a large river appeared under his feet. This wasn't a river formed by perfecting the laws, but the legendary River of Destiny. The fate of all things in the world was in the River of Destiny. Everyone's fate was already determined. Tianming stood in the River of Destiny as if he was the ruler of the world. Boom, boom. Yuan Xian kept punching out, trying to break through the River of Destiny. However, his punches were like stones sinking into the sea. All things in the world are in the River of Destiny. Yuan Xian, you're not an exception. Tianming said. Then, He stretched out a hand and grabbed at the river of destiny, pulling out a figure. Everyone was shocked because the figure that Tianming pulled out of the river of destiny was exactly the same as Yuan Xian. However, they could tell that it was just an illusion. "You're destined to be defeated," Tianming said softly and pointed a finger. A ray of light shot out and bombarded the illusory figure. A large hole appeared in the figure's chest. At that moment, Yuan Xian's body trembled as if he had suffered a terrifying attack. He tried his best to resist, but in the end, he retreated more than 10 steps. Everyone saw that a bloody hole had appeared in his chest and blood was flowing out. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. The laws of destiny were too strange. Tianming had only pulled out a figure that looked exactly like Yuan Xian from the river of destiny. Yet, Yuan Xian was injured when he attacked the illusory figure. "Those who defy destiny will be punished," Tianming said and pointed another finger. The illusory figure was penetrated again. Yuan Xian's body trembled violently as he retreated. Another wound appeared on his body. The scene was silent. It was too strange. Moreover, Tianming was too strong. Who could fight against such strength? Tianming continued to attack. Each time he attacked, Yuan Xian would have to retreat and a wound would appear on his body. In the end, Yuan Xian vomited blood and was heavily injured. "All right, this battle ends here. Yuan Xian, you've lost." At that moment, the white-haired old man stood out and stopped the battle. He was afraid that Yuan Xian's injuries would affect the battle later. Yuan Xian was somewhat unwilling. In the end, he gritted his teeth and left the battle stage. He knew that he had lost. He wasn't Tianming's match and couldn't be the strongest in the world. "I'm not strong enough. I need to be stronger." The legendary primal chaos scripture recorded all kinds of terrifying abilities that use the laws of chaos as the foundation. "I must obtain them." Yuan Xian was unwilling. He looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Chapter 21:30. Tianming is number 1 in the world. No one can match him. The rankings are almost clear. Tianming is first, Yuan Xian is second. It's a pity that Lu Ming is still a quasi-emperor. If he becomes an emperor, he might be able to compete with Tianming. How can there be so many ifs? Tianming is one step ahead, and will only be stronger in the future. Lu Ming will probably never be Tianming's opponent. Everyone discussed. In the end, someone who was hostile to Lu Ming spoke, deliberately belittling Lu Ming, causing Xiang, Bubbles, and the others to glare at him. After the 7th round, Tianming and Yuan Xian's battle, the following battles were not too surprising. Those who were predicted to win all won. Lu Ming also won. In this battle, he fought Wuliang. Wuliang dawdled for a long time. After exchanging a few moves with Lu Ming, he directly admitted defeat. "Lu Ming, you freak. I thought I could suppress you after so many years, but I didn't expect that I'm still not your opponent," Wuliang said with a bitter face. "Hey, how can you say that? What freak? This is my talent, do you understand?" Lu Ming glanced at Wuliang from the corner of his eyes. "My hair." Wuliang stopped talking and retreated to the side. After the 7th round ended, the white-haired old man let everyone rest for 3 days and continue the battle 3 days later. This was because some people were injured and their battle strength was affected, such as Yuan Xian. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Everyone recovered to their peak state. Lu Ming against Yuan Xian. At the beginning of the 8th round, the white-haired old man announced the most important battle. To be honest, everyone was looking forward to this battle. This was because it was a battle between 2 sons of chaos, and also a battle for the 2nd and 3rd place. Most people thought that Lu Ming would not be Yuan Xian's opponent because the strength Yuan Xian had displayed was too shocking. But after all, it was a battle between 2 sons of chaos, a rare sight. Yuan Xian's eyes were filled with a fiery light. He stepped out and stepped onto the battle stage. Lu Ming also stepped onto the battle stage. "Lu Ming, this time, I will make you lose miserably." Yuan Xian stared coldly at Lu Ming. "I'm sorry, but I have to tell you something. No one has ever been able to surpass me after being defeated by me. Not even you." Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? Everyone was stunned. What did Lu Ming mean by this? Could it be that Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xian before? How was this possible? Soon, news spread that Lu Ming and Yuan Xian had fought during the Primal Chaos Sect's assessment, and Yuan Xian had been defeated. Everyone was astonished. There was actually such a thing? It seemed like the two sons of chaos already had a grudge against each other. Back then, I was only suppressed. If I wasn't suppressed, I would have suppressed you with a flip of my hand. Yuan Xian's expression was cold as he continued. Lu Ming, hand over the Primal Chaos scripture. You are not qualified to wield it. I'm not qualified, but you are? Lu Ming sneered and said, You want the Primal Chaos scripture? Sure. Why don't we make a bet? Bet on what? Yuan Xian said coldly. Let's bet on this battle. If I lose this battle, I'll give you the Primal Chaos scripture. If you lose, you'll listen to me for the rest of your life. How about that? Lu Ming said. I won't bet with you. Yuan Xian said coldly. You don't dare? Are you afraid of losing? Lu Ming said. I won't lose. I want the Primal Chaos scripture. I'll defeat you and take it from you. Yuan Xian was very confident. After saying that, he did not say anything else and stepped towards Lu Ming. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from his body, and the law of chaos spread out. At the same time, there was another law. It was a kind of law of the king. Although it was not very mature, it still increased Yuan Xian's combat strength by a lot. Primal Chaos Divine Fist. Yuan Xian made his move. He punched continuously, and the void rumbled. Every time he punched out, a mountain would form and suppress Lu Ming. These mountains were evolved from the law of chaos, and they were extremely powerful. Boom! Lu Ming also made his move. 3 kinds of laws erupted, and he rushed up and used the Primal Chaos Divine Palm, striking out a few times in a row. Bang! Bang! Every palm strike was capable of shattering a mountain. Mountains formed from the law of primal chaos exploded in the air. Primal Chaos Finger. After shattering a few mountains in a row, Lu Ming used the Primal Chaos Finger again. A huge Primal Chaos Finger formed and crushed towards Yuan Xian. Yuan Xian threw a few punches and defeated the Primal Chaos Finger. However, at this time, Lu Ming had already arrived. He continuously struck out with the Primal Chaos Divine Palm, and in an instant, he had struck out hundreds of times. Yuan Xian threw a punch and fought with Lu Ming. The two figures fought fiercely, and for a moment, it was difficult to determine the winner. The law of chaos permeated the entire fighting ring. Yuan Xian was very powerful. He was a 2-star Void Emperor. In terms of cultivation, he was much stronger than Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's physical body and saint power had been tempered 5 times. 5 times, he had 2 kinds of supreme laws, 3 kinds of law of kings, and 3 kinds of law of kings. This made up for the lack of cultivation. Lu Ming is really strong. He can actually compete with Yuan Xian. However, Yuan Xian still has a secret skill that he has not used. Lu Ming is destined to lose, someone said, acknowledging Lu Ming's combat strength. However, they thought that Lu Ming would still lose. Yuan Xian, bring out your strongest battle strength. That's all, it's not enough. Lu Ming said in the midst of the battle, since you want to see it, I'll crush you. Chaotic Divine Body. Yuan Xian roared, and the law of chaos boiled. His physical body seemed to have turned into a chaotic stone. After using this secret skill, Yuan Xian's combat strength increased greatly. He threw a punch and collided with Lu Ming. Bam! Lu Ming felt his arm go numb. He could not help but take 5 to 6 steps back. Bam! Bam! Yuan Xian took advantage of the situation and threw out punches. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. Lu Ming, you are no match for me. Hand over the chaos scripture. Yuan Xian shouted and attacked wildly. Why are you in such a hurry? It seems that 3 laws are still not enough to deal with you. Let's use 4 laws then. As he spoke, another law river appeared on Lu Ming's body and merged with the previous 3 laws. In the next moment, a 4-colored law river appeared on Lu Ming's body. With one more law, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. He threw out a palm and collided with Yuan Xian's attack. Both of their bodies shook and retreated. However, Lu Ming took 2 steps back, while Yuan Xin took 4 steps back. For laws. Lu Ming has comprehended 4 laws. Oh my god, it's the law of devour. 2 supreme laws and 2 monarch laws. It's really heaven-defying. This is too terrifying. Everyone was shocked. Some people exclaimed. It was mainly because it was too shocking. Previously, Lu Ming did not use his full strength and even held back. Not only did he control 2 supreme laws, but he also comprehended 2 other monarch laws. Moreover, he had reached perfection. How old was Lu Ming? How did he cultivate? Chapter 2131. Master is invincible. Master will definitely win. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli shouted excitedly. Luo Tianyi, Huang Ling, Long Chun, and the others were also stunned. Although they knew that Lu Ming was abnormal, they did not expect him to be this abnormal. My hair. You pervert. Do you want me to live? Heartless Monk's face became even more bitter. How is this possible? How is this possible? Those who had a grudge against Lu Ming, such as the Hung family, the He family, the Daluo Heaven sect, the Wan family, the Golden Crow clan, and other forces, were all shocked and frightened. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more frightened they were. Yuan Xin himself was also shocked. He had also comprehended the second law, so he knew how difficult it was to comprehend other laws. It was even more difficult to merge them together. He had only succeeded in that world. However, Lu Ming had not only mastered 2 supreme laws, but also comprehended 2 other laws of the King Path. A total of 4 laws, and all of them had been perfected and merged together. This was unbelievable. Even with his wisdom, he was still shocked. So what if you have 4 laws? I will still defeat you. Yuan Xin let out a long howl, charging toward Lu Ming with an imposing aura. His body emitted a dark light, as if it was made of chaotic stone. Bam! Lu Ming stepped forward and used the chaotic divine palm to fight with Yuan Xin. Bam! Bam! There was another shocking shock in the fighting ring. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 50 blows. However, after Lu Ming burst out with 4 laws, his combat strength had surpassed Yuan Xin's. The more laws were fused, the stronger the power would be, multiplying the power. After more than 50 blows, Yuan Xin was completely at a disadvantage and was forced to retreat by Lu Ming. Yuan Xin was not willing to give up. He roared and fought with Lu Ming without fear of death. He could not lose. This time, it was different from the assessment in the Hunyuan sect. This time, it was a real showdown. They went all out without holding anything back. This was also a showdown between Sons of Chaos. If he lost to Lu Ming, he definitely wouldn't be able to obtain the Chaos Emperor's legacy. Furthermore, he would have to live under Lu Ming's shadow for the rest of his life. This was a fatal blow to his path of martial arts. Lu Ming, you can't break my chaotic divine body. I won't lose. Yuan Xin roared. You think too much. Lu Ming continuously waved his palms, repelling Yuan Xin, and then bombarding Yuan Xin's chest with a palm. Boom. Yuan Xin's body trembled violently as he retreated continuously. His face paled as he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Following that, Lu Ming continued to attack with his palms, striking out several hundred palms in an instant. Palm imprints enveloped Yuan Xin's entire body. Yuan Xin did his best to resist, but there were still palm imprints that landed on his body. Bang! Bang! Yuan Xin's body continued to tremble. In the end, cracks actually appeared on his body, as if it was about to split apart. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying and fell heavily on the fighting ring. Defeated. Yuan Xin was defeated. The entire place was silent. Before the battle, not many people had expected this result. Most people had always thought that Tianming was first, Yuan Xin was second, and Lu Ming was third at most. They thought that it was impossible for him to be a match for the 2 people in front of him. But now, Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xin. His next opponent was only Tianming. Master is invincible. Xiang shouted excitedly. She then looked at the few elders not far away and said, I told you, My master is invincible. No one is a match for him. The few elders blushed. Previously, they had said that Xiang Xiang was blindly confident and told her to see the reality. Lu Ming was no match for Yuan Xian and Tianming. But now, it was Lu Ming who had defeated Yuan Xian. Even though the few elders had lived for many years, they couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Uncle Kong and martial monarch Wuxiang smiled too. Lu Ming being able to come this far had far exceeded their expectations. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming stepped forward and walked towards Yuan Xian. I haven't lost. I won't lose to you. Yuan Xian howled madly. He was extremely indignant. He charged toward Lu Ming again, but he was already injured. How could he be a match for Lu Ming? After a few moves, he was sent flying again. His body was covered with cracks and blood was seeping out. With Lu Ming's current strength, a palm strike could shatter the void and destroy a 10,000 feet tall mountain. The power was shocking. It was already very shocking that Yuan Xian could survive after taking so many palm strikes. Yuan Xian roared and wanted to continue fighting. The white-haired elder stepped down and stopped him. You have lost. Go down. The white-haired elder said. Yuan Xian finally stopped and looked at Lu Ming with unwillingness. His eyes flashed with cold killing intent. After today's defeat, you will never be a match for me. Also, you don't deserve to control the primal chaos scripture. Lu Ming glanced at Yuan Xian indifferently and turned to leave. Yuan Xian's body trembled, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. After that, the competition continued. But the rest of the competition was within everyone's expectations. There were no surprises. Everyone was looking forward to the last round. The 9th round was the last round. After this round, the 10 of them had fought the other 9. And in the 9th round, Lu Ming would fight against Tianming. Originally, everyone didn't have much expectations for this battle. They thought that there was no suspense and that Tianming would win. But after Lu Ming defeated Yuan Xian, everyone changed their minds. At least, Lu Ming had defeated Yuan Xian and was qualified to fight against Tianming. After the 8th round ended, there was a break. The 9th round was about to begin. In the last round, the white-haired elder seemed to have intentionally put the battle between Lu Ming and Tianming at the end. Everyone was itching, but they could only wait for the previous matches to end. There were no surprises in the previous matches. By the time the previous matches were over, the crowd already knew the rankings for this round. Except for the 1st and 2nd place, the rest of the rankings were already confirmed. 3rd place, Yuan Xian. He had only lost to Lu Ming and Tianming. 4th place, Baoda. 5th place, Bubble. 6th place, Heartless Monk. 7th place, Xiaku. 8th place, Yunhaoga. 9th place, Ancient Demon. 10th place, Xinghe. Xinghe had lost all 9 matches and didn't win a single one. His expression was extremely ugly. Especially when he saw the last battle between Lu Ming and Tianming, his expression became even gloomier. By now, Lu Ming had left him far behind. The last battle, Tianming versus Lu Ming. The white-haired elder finally announced the names of the two. Countless people's hearts were in their mouths. It was finally the last battle. This battle would determine who was the strongest genius of the younger generation of the Yuan realm. Would it be Lu Ming or Tianming? One of them had yet to become an emperor, but he had already mastered 2 types of supreme laws. 2 types of monarch laws, which was unprecedented in history. The other was a rare child of destiny, who controlled destiny and was unparalleled in the world. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.